So first up, I'd like to call to the stage Lenny Mayo. Lenny is the Benson Entrepreneur of the Year and also the Chairman of Startup Victoria. Lenny.
It's pretty overwhelming to see everyone here. It's kind of an unbelievable turnout, and just to kind of from where I sit, I kind of just see different parts of the ecosystem. So just quickly run through kind of people who are here. So there are lots of founders here, people who are running startups. There are people who you might call aspiring founders, people who are about to do startups. There are sources of capital, so there are angel investors, there are venture capitalists here, there are people from education, and so even though Startup Victoria's got a core constituency really about founders, for some reason all those people are here. So welcome, and kind of network to the maximum amount that you can tonight. So I just want to kind of begin this 4 minutes speech that I have left by thanking the people who have contributed, first of all, financially. So he who pays the piper might not necessarily call the whole tune, but they certainly get a few notes into the music. And so let me begin by those people who I think of as quiet achievers. So I'm going to ask a bunch of people to put their hand up, but the quiet achievers probably won't. So firstly, Guy King and Bevan Clark from Retail Meetup and LifeX and probably a whole Angel Cube and all kinds of other stuff down the road were patrons of Startup Victoria, putting in some money to help get it off the ground. Secondly, there were some public servants in the state of Victoria who were easy to deal with and saw some merit in the vision of Startup Victoria. Then there's also 3 people who I've just met over the last kind of couple of months who have just put up their hand up in the absence of any paperwork. Let me tell you, I'm a software engineer, I'm not a salesperson. And if I'm having lunch with someone and they say, yeah, here's $5,000, then it's not because I'm a great salesman, but because their heart is in the right place. So taking them in alphabetical order, Invado, who is a corporate sponsor of Startup Victoria, NICTA is a corporate sponsor of Startup Victoria, and the Cyclone Group, my car bottle, which is carbon enzymes and Flipper and all that, are sponsors of corporate members of Startup Victoria. So, so if anyone else out there is a corporate, would like to be a corporate member, please come and talk to me or Michelle down the front here. Secondly, I'd like to thank Startup Victoria is a volunteer-run organisation. So, hands up to everyone here who has volunteered for Startup Victoria or Lean Startup Melbourne. There you go. It's a bit cheesy, but this wouldn't be happening except for you guys and girls. Secondly, I've lost count, but today is the first day of work for a bloke called Lars Lidstrom. He's CEO of Startup Victoria, so he kind of left an amazing career and has put his startup that he was running in the hands of his co-founders, and he has come to work for despite the generosity of Guy Bevan and the state government, where he's a very modestly resourced organisation, Startup Victoria. He's come on board to be CEO. So thank you, Lars. Are you here, Lars? Lars is with us. Finally, like you're the community. So let me tell you a little bit about Startup Victoria. So in preparing for this speech, I learned a little bit about what's a mission and what's a vision. So a vision is something that describes the world 5 years from now, and a mission is how you think you're going to get there. So the vision for Startup Victoria is a richer and deeper startup ecosystem here in Melbourne at first, and later in Victoria. So just to paint a picture of that, that means more MYOBs, more Seek, more real estate, more car sales, more Invado, more side point, more 99 designs, more flipper, more red bubble, more Vinomofo, more. I'm just focusing on the Melbourne ones, huh? Like Atlassian's great, but what else? Who am I missing? Arts Hub. Zendesk. Oh yeah, no, Zendesk. Talking about founders, Bitwise, 2 or 3 people that started in Melbourne and 100 million, 500 million, whatever. Sausage software. So more of those, please. That's what the Melbourne looks like 5 years' time. Just more of those. That's the vision. So the mission is how we're going to do that. So the mission, we think that if we want to have more success, that the number one thing to drive success, in my personal experience and in the experience of a lot of people around us, is just local people we can see and not necessarily smell, but feel and touch, and just local, focus locally. And the people that will Startup Victoria are focused on are founders. So, because they're the critical ingredient, and so the founders are those people who in the very early days take a ton of personal risk and really have a go. And that's Startup Victoria's core constituency. And by focusing on founders, and then our founders, the 2 leaders, more founders, so we want to get more people to have a crack, and then we have better founders, so the people who are having a crack, let's try and figure out ways of making them more successful. So everything that you see about Startup Victoria over the next years will be focused on founders. It's not to say that all of the other stakeholders here are not important, but Startup Victoria is really focused on founders. So that's what it's all about. I guess the last kind of thing that just comes to mind is when I was thinking about tonight, I was kind of searching for a metaphor. And the metaphor that came to mind was walking around, kind of old parts of Melbourne, and you see these bluestone buildings where there's a cornerstone, and then there's some letters chipped out of the cornerstone that says, this cornerstone was laid by the Honourable blah blah, and and there was a there was probably a ceremony around that, and then that building represented an enormous investment of capital. And so, tonight, it feels maybe we're just kind of putting in place one of those little things, and we're just acknowledging it, and the Honourable Minister's here, and we're not necessarily building physical capital, but we're building human capital, and that's entirely consistent with the mission of Startup Victoria, which is focused on founders.